Hello, friends. Imagine if you have such a power that you can do any task so carefully and deeply that the rest of the things disappear on their own. All the noise that distracts you, all the notifications, all the obstacles suddenly become insignificant. And if you work only on your goal, how fast will your progress be? This is not magic, but the power of deep work. Cal Newport says in his book, Deep Work, that in this modern time, when there are distractions everywhere, deep concentration has become an art. And those who learn this art, they are the ones who move forward. Today's world is full of shallow work. Shallow work means work that does not require deep thinking, like scrolling on social media all the time, replying to emails, getting time in small meetings. Such tasks take up a large part of our day, but they do not give us real success. Deep work is the same state when a person completely immerses his goal in his work, uses all the capacity of his brain, and creates something that is valuable. This deep work brings new discoveries, new ideas, and elevates the career. Newport believes that those who get used to deep work, they learn quickly, acquire difficult skills, and achieve great achievements. Now think about how many distractions there are in today's world. The moment the phone rings, the mind runs away. The moment an email arrives, the mind changes. The moment you see a post, a like, or a comment, the time is wasted. In such a situation, the person who keeps his mind in control and works in depth, he will look different from everyone else. This book teaches us how to get used to deep work. In this book, Newport explains things in two parts. In the first part, he explains why deep work is important and why shallow work is dangerous. In the second part, he explains the rules by which we can apply deep work in our lives. The first part explains to us that the most important skill in this digital age is to work in depth. If you want to learn a new language, if you want to learn programming or designing like a difficult skill, if you want to write a book or want to start a new business, then you need the power of deep work. Shallow work will only keep you busy, but it will not give you success. Newport says that in today's world, there are two types of people who will be the most successful. One is those who can learn difficult tasks, and the other is those who can apply those difficult skills creatively. But both these tasks are impossible without deep work. So the first lesson is that if you want to get opportunities in the future, you have to learn to work in depth. Deep work is not just a means of productivity, it is an art, a habit that can change your life. When we talk about deep work, the first thing we need to understand is what it really is and why. It is so important. Newport defines deep work as, it is the state when you are completely immersed in your work, when you forget the sense of time and your mind is filled with new energy and new thoughts. It is the opposite of shallow work. Shallow work is the kind of work that does not require much depth. These tasks are easy and anyone can do them. For example, sitting in meetings, checking emails, spending time on social media, arranging files, or completing routine tasks. These tasks seem important, but they have no deep meaning. If you spend all your time in shallow work, you will not have time to do the real, valuable work. Newport says that in today's world, many people are stuck in shallow work. They show themselves busy, but in reality, they are not doing any deep work. This is why many people, despite working hard for years, are not able to move forward. They look busy, but they do not progress. Now the question is, why is deep work so difficult? This is because our modern environment is full of distractions. Your mobile has 20 different apps. Each app sends notifications repeatedly. Social media pulls you in. There is an abundance of information on the internet, and your mind keeps jumping from one thing to another. This constantly changing focus has removed our ability to think deeply. Newport says that the ability to think deeply is like a superpower, And as the world is drowning in shallow distractions, those who can do deep work will become even more valuable. They will be rare, and rare things are always precious. If you look at history, the world's greatest discoveries and creations have been the result of deep work. Newton sat under a tree, immersed himself in deep thought, and discovered the theory of gravitation. Einstein sat alone for hours and days creating theories. Great writers and artists worked in deep concentration and created their works. All this is the magic of deep work. Newport here another important point is that deep work is not only necessary for great discoveries. In fact, it is necessary for every person who wants to move forward in their career and life. Let's say you are a student and you want to learn a difficult subject. If you keep distracting yourself, it will take you years. On the other hand, if you spend a few hours in deep work every day, your learning will be much faster. The other big advantage of deep work is that it satisfies us. When we immerse ourselves in deep work, we get a different kind of happiness and satisfaction. Shallow work only brings fatigue. But after deep work, a person feels that he has actually done something meaningful. This is why Newport considers it not only the key to success, but also the key to a meaningful life. Now the question arises, how can we apply deep work in our lives? Newport gives 4 main rules for this, and the rest of the book explains these rules in detail. The first rule is to work in depth, that is, to get used to deep work. Newport says that our mind itself does not go into depth. For this, we have to create a system that reduces distractions and helps us concentrate for a long time. For example, if you are studying or working, keep your mobile phone away. Turn off the internet and find a quiet place for yourself where there is only work and no distractions. The second rule is to accept boredom. These days, as soon as we are free, we immediately take out our mobile phones, we scroll through something or check a notification. But Newport says that if you do not give your mind entertainment or light excitement every moment, it will never learn to work in depth. So it is important to let yourself get bored for a while so that your mind can calm down and get used to deep thinking. The third rule is to leave social media, or at least use it with a lot of thought. Social media constantly puts you in the habit of shallow work and distracts you. If you really want to do deep work, then you will have to understand that not every platform is necessary for you. Leave some and only use those that really benefit you. The fourth rule is to reduce shallow work. A large part of our day is consumed by shallow work.
We have to reduce it. For example, if an immediate answer to an email is not necessary, then avoid it. Avoid unnecessary meetings and give most of your day to deep work. So far, we have understood what deep work is, why it is necessary, and why it is a shallow art. Now, let's go into depth and understand what practical ways Cal Newport tells us to bring deep work into our lives. He has given 4 rules in the book. Now, we will understand these rules in detail. The first rule is to work in depth. This rule means that to do deep work, we have to create a comfortable environment and habit. The mind does not go into depth by itself. It is repeatedly pulled towards shallow work. Therefore, we have to create an environment and routine that pushes our mind towards deep work. Newport says that for deep work, we have to make rituals, yani small rules. For example, you have decided that you will only do your important work from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day. At that time, the mobile will be away, the internet will be off, and only that work will be done that you have to pay close attention to. When you start doing this every day, the mind starts preparing itself at the same time. This habit gives you the ability to work in depth. Newport says that deep work is like a manspeshi. The more you practice it, the stronger it will be. Therefore, start every day with small sessions. First 1 hour, then 2 hours, and gradually increase it. It will seem difficult at first because the mind will continuously run towards shallow work. But as you control it, your ability will increase. He also said that to work in depth, we have to protect ourselves from distractions. If the mobile is constantly distracting you, then keep it away. If you don't need the internet, then turn it off. If there is noise, then find a quiet place for yourself. The cleaner the environment, the deeper the mind will go. The second rule is to accept boredom. It is a habit of all of us. As soon as we get free time, we immediately look for some entertainment. We scroll on social media, watch videos or play games. But this habit stops us from working in depth. Our mind always gets used to some excitement, and as soon as we sit down, it becomes restless. Newport says that we have to embrace boredom. If you sit down and get used to thinking, then your mind will gradually learn to think in depth. Suppose you're standing in a line or traveling. Instead of taking out your mobile, think quietly for a while. This exercise will give you mental peace and strengthen your focus. They say that concentrating is an art. And to practice this art, it is important to keep your mind away from shallow distractions. One way is that whenever you have to solve a difficult problem, instead of running straight to the internet or mobile, first try to think for yourself. This habit will gradually make you think in depth. The third rule is to choose social media wisely. Today, most people are so immersed in social media that they don't even realize how much time is being wasted. Newport says that every platform is not necessary. Many platforms are made only to attract attention, and they trap you in shallow habits. That is why it is important that you think which platform is really useful for you. If an app is not adding value to your life or work, then leave it. If you are a writer, then you should focus on wasting time everywhere. Newport gives a simple rule here. If a platform does not give you a clear aim, then it is just a waste of time. We have to learn how to say no, so that our focus goes only on the things that nourish our deep work. The fourth rule is to reduce shallow work. A large part of our day is spent in shallow work. For example, checking emails, doing small meetings, discussing unnecessary things, or getting stuck in small tasks. If we calculate our time, we will find that a large part of our day is spent in shallow work, and we don't have time for deep work. Newport says that we should plan our days so that shallow work is reduced to a very small part. For example, you should check your emails only twice a day and ignore emails the rest of the time. To avoid meetings, you should think whether this meeting is necessary or whether it can be solved without a meeting. He also said that we should limit our working hours so that we don't have to spend time in deep work. For example, you decide to work only till 6 in the evening. After that, your mind will give priority in shallow work. Newport gives some examples in his book. For example, Carl Jung, a great scientist, had built a small tower in a quiet jungle for his research, where he spent many hours in deep concentration. He built this place so that he could think and write away from the noise of the world. Another example is Bill Gates, who used to go in a retreat every year. He used to go alone in a cabin with a lot of books and notes. He used to stay there and think deeply. During this time, he came up with many new ideas, and Microsoft took the lead. These examples show that working deeply is not only the principle of books, but it also gives great results in the real world. The real effect of deep work is when we make it a part of our lives. In the beginning, it seems like a habit, but as time goes by, it changes our ability to think completely and our life takes a new direction. When we learn to work deeply, our mind becomes faster and faster because it leaves the habit of shallow things and learns to solve difficult and important problems. This is why Newport says that deep work is not just a way to achieve success, but it is the art of awakening the real strength of the mind. Suppose you spend 2 to 3 hours in deep work and do not let any distraction come at that time. Gradually, you will feel that your work is not only increasing, but its quality is also increasing. The first thing you had to do in 10 hours, you will do it in 4 hours and the result will be better. This is the same magic when a person puts his energy in one place and not in thousands of places. When a person gets used to deep work, he starts looking different from other people because most people are still busy with shallow things. But the real difference is brought by the people with deep work.
For example, if a writer spends hours in deep work, he can finish a book in a year. But if another writer tries little by little and distracts, he may never finish the same book. Newport says that the habit of working in depth gives us another great benefit, and that is the feeling of meaning and contentment in life. Shallow work keeps us busy, but its result does not make us happy from inside. On the other hand, when we succeed by working hard on a difficult goal, deep satisfaction is born. This is why deep work is not only necessary for professional life, but also for personal life. If you look at the great people of history, you will find that they spent a large part of their lives working in depth. Whether they were scientists, philosophers, or artists, they all valued their time and stayed away from distractions. This is the reason why they were able to make discoveries that had a lasting impact for centuries. Newport stresses that if you want, you can change your life in this direction. You just have to improve your habits. Now the question arises that it is good to hear all this, but how difficult is it? The truth is that it is difficult, but not impossible. Newport says that we have to change our habits step by step. For example, you may not be able to work for 5-6 hours every day, but if you start working every day for half an hour and gradually increase it, then the mind will accept it easily. Another way to adopt deep work is to consider your working hours as sacred. You have decided that you will work from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Do not let anything else come to you at that time, neither mobile nor social media. When you save your time again and again, it will become as important for you as a religious ritual. Another important thing Newport says is that we should divide our work into small parts and focus on each part. For example, if you are writing a book, then think that today you have to write the first part of only one chapter, and do it with full concentration. This will not burden your mind, and your work will progress gradually. The effect of deep work is not only on the work, but also on the way of thinking. When a person thinks in a deep way, then his creativity increases, because when the mind gets a calm environment and long meditation, it starts creating new relationships and new thoughts. This is the reason that deep work often leads to breakthrough ideas. But the most important thing among all is that to do deep work, you have to remove shallow work from your life. If you keep checking notifications throughout the day and keep participating in every small meeting, then you will never have enough time for deep work. This is why you have to be hard on yourself and limit your shallow work. Newport also says that it is necessary to do only one thing at a time. Multitasking looks good, but it makes the mind shallow. When you do 2-3 things at a time, then your mind cannot go deep into any work. But when you put all your energy into one thing, then the result is extraordinary. This is the real deep work. People who have adopted this rule in their life have achieved great achievements. A writer who started writing for a few hours every day. He completed many books in a year. A programmer who started spending a big part of his work in deep work. He created a technique which changed the entire company's future. A student who left social media and started studying every day topped the exam. All these examples show that deep work is not just a principle, but it is the magic of real life. Gradually, when this habit is established, that a person feels that his life is more organized than before. He starts seeing his goals clearly. He understands which things he has to say yes for and which he has to say no for. And the most important thing is that he starts getting satisfaction from his work, which he never gets from shallow work. Deep work also teaches us the value of time. Every person has 24 hours, but the difference is that he uses those hours in shallow work or in deep work. A person does nothing, and the other person achieves great results by working hard for a few hours. This is the real mystery. Therefore, the message of Newport is clear. If you want to move ahead in the future, if you want success in your career, if you want satisfaction and meaning in life, then you have to accept deep work. This is not an option, but a necessity. When a person accepts the power of deep work, then his life changes completely. He does not just work a lot, but he does such work which is really meaningful. The main message of this book is that we should put our energy and time away from shallow things and focus on deep work. Because in the end, only that work is remembered, and that is our identity. If you think about what people will remember you for 10 years from now, then you might realize that the shallow work in which you worked day and night will have no sign. But the book you wrote, the project you completed, the discovery you did, or the skill you learned will be your real identity. And all this is possible only with deep work. Newport says that deep work is not only necessary to make a career, but it also gives a person true happiness. Shallow life is filled with emptiness because it has only busyness and no depth. A person feels that he works hard all day, but he has nothing special to show. On the other hand, after deep work is small or big, it gives you inner satisfaction because you know that you have used your true potential. When a person works hard all the time, then his self-confidence also increases because he knows that he can accomplish difficult tasks. This self-confidence helps him to reach even bigger goals. Gradually, this cycle becomes a habit that takes him to the next level. Now the question is, how to maintain this habit for a long time? Newport gives some practical suggestions for this. 1. We should decide the time and place of our work so that the mind takes it seriously. 2. We should keep a distance from distractions. 3. We should limit social media and stop responding to every small notification. 4. We should to every part of our life. Just like you spend time, keep an eye on your mobile from time to time. 5. Keep your goals clear and ask yourself daily whether you are working on your most important work or you are just busy. Newport also tells that deep work is not just a way to work, but also a way to live. It means that we should choose everything that gives depth and keep a distance from everything that is superficial. We have to do this every day, and gradually, this choice makes us different. If you want, you can understand this with a simple example. Suppose there is a farmer who works hard in his field every day and grows his crops with. He knows that this work is not easy, but the work he does every day will pay off one day. On the other hand, there is another farmer who goes to the field just to show off. He works for a while and then leaves. The result will never be as good. This is the difference between deep work and shallow work. When a person learns to work with depth, his habit affects every aspect of his life, in his studies, in his work, in his relationships, and in his thoughts. This is a power that makes a person from ordinary to extraordinary. This is why Newport says that this era belongs to those who can do deep work, because they are the weak, and weak people are always valuable. The real message of this book is that if you really want to be successful, if you want your work to matter, and you want to see the world differently, then you have to save a large part of your day for deep work. You have to cut off distractions, and you have to immerse your mind in the work that is really important to you. Deep work reminds us that the real power of a person is his ability to think with depth and solve difficult problems. This ability separates us from animals, and this ability makes us great. This is why we should not lose this ability, but we should strengthen it. Deep work means working with depth. That is, work that requires full concentration and energy, and that is truly valuable. Cal Newport says that in today's world, there is a lot of shallow work. People look busy all day, but in reality,
they are not doing any big and meaningful work. Shallow work is easy and superficial, like checking emails, sitting in meetings, scrolling social media, but it does not take us forward. Deep work is rare because today's environment is full of distractions. Notification noise and entertainment are making us shallow everywhere. But the rarer it is, the more valuable it is, because the future belongs to those who work with depth. These people will learn difficult skills, discover new things, and achieve real success. In this book, Newport explains why deep work is important and how to bring it into life. He has given 4 rules for this. The first rule is to get used to working with depth. For this, it is important to set the environment and time. The second rule is to get used to boredom so that the mind does not become a slave to shallow distractions. The third rule is to leave social media or to use it wisely because it traps us in shallow work. The fourth rule is to reduce shallow work so that our day can be saved for deep work. When a person gets used to these rules, his mind becomes strong, his thoughts become deep, and his work becomes different and special. Gradually, this habit increases his self-confidence and satisfaction because he knows that his time is spent on meaningful things. Deep work is not only important for the success of a career, but also for the depth and meaning of life. Shallow life brings emptiness, while deep life brings contentment and happiness. This is why Newport says that deep work is a way when we invest our day in deep work and deep relationships, our life becomes valuable. Finally, the message of this book is simple. If you want your work to be meaningful, if you want to look different in the world, if you want real happiness and contentment, then you have to accept deep work. This is the key to real success and meaningful life. And this is Cal Newport's book, The Real Message of Deep Work. If you bring this habit into your life, then not only your work, but also your thoughts, your identity, and your future will change. So decide from today that you don't want to waste your time in the shallow work of the world, because this will separate you and take you to the peak of success. If you like this summary, then like the video.